Welcome to ILFL Soccer Night. You're watching us live on NTV. We've got a lot to run through. I've got my usual panel of guests here with Rashid Ali and Nanumia, and I've got two more guests which I'll introduce later. They're both known as Nurul, so we'll come back to them in a little while. We've got the Vets League to wrap up. We had the Premiership wrapped up last week, so we'll talk more about the winners and Nurul by here. We've got a few games from the First Division and the Premiership, but the main focus of tonight is the League Cup sponsored by Tyre Hamlets Homes. And our first highlight for today is between Brick Lane versus London Tigers. Now, London Tigers go into this game having just won the Premiership. Brick Lane are having a fantastic season. So let's see how both teams went.
was a good game, won 7-1. Opposition very, very good. They had a couple spells, but I think we came out victory, and see you lot in the final. You can find out to Yusuf.
Yeah, I mean, the game started off well. First half we controlled it, we were 4-0 up, half time. Second half, same again. They just had a little bit of a spell towards the end of the second half, but I think we managed to deal with it, and we came out as well-deserved winners. So hopefully see you guys in the final.
And there you have it, the game between Brick Lane and London Tigers in the semi-final of the League Cup sponsored by Hammer's Homes was a 7-1 victory to London Tigers. Now on my right, we've got the two Nuruls, Mohammed Nurul Haq and Nurul Haq. Welcome, gents.
Assalamu
alaikum salam. Now, do we need to be all called Nurul for us to be champions and winners?
The name sort of say something, doesn't it?
Yeah, well,
all the Nuruls
it's synonymous to winning, isn't it?
Yep.
And you're also from the same place back home as well.
We are, yes.
Oh dear. Okay, coming back to the game from Brick Lane to London Tigers, I assume you were there as well yourself?
I was, yes. I was.
How was the day and the game for you?
I truly expected a little bit of a harder game from Brick Lane. I was disappointed with Brick Lane because they turned up a little bit late. They were on a rush. Maybe because it was a morning game. They're not used to morning games. Maybe that is a reason. But Brick Lane always gives us a good game. You know, last year they beat us 6-1.
Well, it's a semi-final of the Cup, so you would expect a
I expected a really hard game from Brick Lane, but they just was not with it. You know, I don't know what it is. Maybe one of the Brick Lane guys can explain. But yeah, they were not with it this Sunday at all. They just before the game started, their body language was all wrong. Do I really have to play? That was the attitude. You know?
I think the weather on Sunday was pretty difficult. Very windy.
I wouldn't say it's the weather, because in the morning it wasn't as windy as in the afternoon. The pitch was absolutely ace. It was a very good pitch to play on. Right? You can't blame it on the weather. I don't think it was the weather at all. It was their attitude was all wrong. They just didn't have the will to win.
Well, that's a shame, because I think in the previous week we were saying some very good things about Brick Lane, and we said that Brick Lane would give you guys a real run for your money.
I expected it. I absolutely expected a really hard game. I told my players, and I had to make certain changes because of Brick Lane, where I moved my striker into central half, because I didn't have a central half this week, because they're all injured. I've never had so many injuries in a season as this year. I didn't have a centre, so I had to move Terence, who's the top goal scorer.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, Terence is your left back, plays centre back, but he's also your top scorer.
My top scorer, because he's a clinical finisher. But this week, because I needed the experience at the back, because of Brick Lane, I moved him at the back, just to give me the experience with the youngsters that I have got. Even told Yusuf to play a lot deeper, like a man mountain he is, as everybody knows this year, he's just grown up into a big man. Told him to play a lot more deeper, just to hold on to the play, and let's see for the first 15 minutes. After the first 15 minutes, we were 4-0 up, and Yusuf just looked at me and said, what's going on? You know, all the players expected a hard game, but it wasn't. Brick Lane was not just with it. It was one of their off days, and it was a wrong day to be off on a cup semi-final.
Well, let's bring Rashid in. I think Rashid was there. What did you make of that game, Rashid?
Well, first of all, congratulations, on a double congratulations actually, for winning the league and getting to the final.
Thank you.
One of the questions I was going to ask you is, obviously you won the Division 1 last year.
Yeah.
How have you prepared differently, or what's been different this season in compared to last year?
I've used differently. I've used the same players as I used last year, but just brought in a couple of experienced players, i.e. Terence, i.e. Farhad, right? Just to give that little old head, right? And I moved the players about a lot. I've been lucky. I've got 40 players who can play any position. So nobody knows what player I'm going to play next week. They come prepared. The opposition come prepared to say, oh, I know what. Roger's going to play up front. But suddenly when they come on the pitch, Roger's playing centre half.
I've seen that last week when you played Beaumont, and I saw a few new faces. How does the players adjust to that, or are they okay with whatever you decide?
Every position I have got 3 players. Even goalkeeper I've got 2. Right? So every position I've got 3 players.
It helps when you've got a very long season.
Exactly, but vice versa, all the players are on the edge on Monday night when I put on the thing to say who's available, and on Thursday night when I named the squad. And they all are scared, what position am I going to be playing this week? They don't know what position they're playing.
Well, I suppose it keeps them on their toes.
On the toes, and they want to play. Am I going to be playing this week, or am I not going to be playing this week? But it's not, so the competition within the club is absolutely brilliant. I didn't expect us to win the Premier Division this year, first time round, you know, coming up from the first division. I expect mid-division, don't get slaughtered, let's get 1 year experience, then go into it. But in hindsight, it worked out absolutely brilliant because Farhad has been absolutely brilliant. My injury, you know, with myself not here, but the modern equipment is absolutely brilliant. Right? The tango, watching the game on from home while my legs are up in the sky. Taz and Yusuf just becoming mans.
I think it's a brilliant achievement for a team to be promoted and then to get to a cup final and to win the league. I think it's a great achievement itself.
Just to come back to my question about the semi-final, you were there. What did you make of Brick Lane? Why was it such a one-sided game?
It's a very surprising. It's a cup semi-final. Any team should, you know, be motivated to, you know, give 150%. So unless Brick Lane thought it's a foregone conclusion, yes, Tigers were favourites, but you know, they've been playing some good football. They're actually big teams in the league games.
Well, they have. That's why they're mid-table and they're
so
really, really
I'm very
well.
surprised, unless obviously the manager didn't have certain players or why they were late. Very surprised. Can't answer that question.
Well, thank you, gents. Let's hope it's a blip and it's a one-off from Brick Lane. When we come back, we've got the other game to highlight between Beaumont and Newark. So stay with us. We'll be back soon.
You are watching ILFL Soccer Nights.
Sponsored by Hawk and Eagle.